Hello, everyone. This is a check-in video for week 6 for Social Work 501 Fall of 2023. Today is Tuesday, November 21st, and just a quick video just to say hi, check in. Last week, I posted a video with some information on this week's assignments and discussion posts, but I just wanted to go over a few things again. Well, first of all, it seems as if I was looking over your week 4 check-in older adult interview and annotated bibliography discussion post, and it seems that most of you have either completed your interview or have plans to do so in the next few days. So that is really good because the older adult interview presentation is due in week 6, which is next week. So please, if you haven't set a date to schedule the interview, please do so as soon as possible. And the other, so that's good. And then in your week 4 check-in on the phases of the life cycle, looking at Joey from the Sanchez family, I think everybody did a really good job of really looking at Joey. And I was really, I think you did a good job overall at looking at social, cultural, and ethical considerations. Many of you brought up the language barrier issue and the importance of having a proper translator there if you yourself do not speak Spanish. So there was a lot of some really good points that were brought up there. And then in the last question, it asked you to consider Joey's strengths. And Joey has a lot of different strengths, right? Both internal as well as external strengths. And if we look at the research literature, we look at individuals have strengths. We all have strengths, right? And we are a strength-based profession. And so when we think of Joey, we think of we want to think about both internal and external strengths. The research literature calls these protective factors, and they're internal and external. So Joey has a lot of internal protective factors. And internal protective factors are those sort of things such as determination, curiosity, emotional regulation, emotional self-awareness, spirituality, emotional intelligence. I mean, it's a wide variety of different strengths that go under the category of internal protective factors. And we definitely see that Joey has many internal protective factors. And he also has many external protective factors. And the research literature calls external protective factors those outside of the individual that come from 3 primary areas, those resources, supports that come from 3 primary areas: the family, the community, and and other things in the exosystem. So in the sense of his family, even though Joey's mom and parents are having a difficult relationship, they both have the same thing in common, is that they both Joey's grandparents and Joey's mother love Joey and want what's best for him, as well as the other family members. Many of you pointed out that the strength of this family is that they're very close-knit, and they definitely are, and that is the strength that Joey has. It's a very close-knit family. They are Catholic, so religion is an external protective factor. So Joey's involvement in any sort of religious activities are important. He has a lot of good support in his uncles and aunts. So there's resources that are available to him in the community that Celia, his grandmother, is searching for. So, All of these, the research literature says that protective factors are both internal and external, although both internal and external protective factors or strengths are the building blocks for resilience. So the more strengths, the more protective factors that Joey has, the more resilient Joey is. And so I think it's really important to always, when we work with clients, to look at both the internal and external protective factors or strengths, and then see how part of our intervention could be to help the client identify or develop more internal and external strengths for themselves. All right, so good job there. Your annotated bibliography is due the Sunday of this week. And even though I've gone through this rubric before, I want to just really quickly. The older adult annotated bibliography is worth 50 points. Submitted on time, it is worth 10 points. The quality of the summaries, if the summaries are original and capture the main points of the article and a critique is provided, then you would receive the max points, but points are lost as you go forward. So they start at 10 or 0. So 0 could be that they're not original and do not capture the main points of the articles and or no critique is provided, but there's middle ground there. Remember, in the assignment guidelines for the older adult annotated bibliography rubric, there are, the older adult annotated bibliography assignment, not rubric. There are some resources on how to do an annotated bibliography. And all of you did one as in week 1 as a discussion post, a bibliography, annotated bibliography practice. And I provided you with some feedback on that one that you did earlier in the beginning of the semester. So if you've not looked at my feedback, I suggest that you go back in there. So again, I recommend that you go back and look at my feedback and you go look at the resources that are provided for you in our Canvas course page on how to do an annotated bibliography. But remember, it's got the main components are the summary of the research or theoretical peer-reviewed journal article that you chose, the main points. And in a previous discussion post, somebody had mentioned, and I know, or had asked, and then I answered this in the larger group video, but I'm going to bring it up again. How do you know what are the main points to include if it's a rather lengthy article? And that was a really good question. And so I think one of the things is that a summary should be concise, that just sort of captures the main points and should not be more than one paragraph or so. So how do you do that? I would say that you would, what would be the main points that are the most important? I would say would be the ones that that are the reason for why you're utilizing this particular journal article for your annotated bibliography. How does it meet your needs, right? So that you're using it, that you're including it in your assignment is because it discusses certain things that make sense in terms of what for your purposes for the overall assignment. So then you would focus more on those being the main points that you're going to cover. And then the other part of an annotated bibliography, of course, is the critique. The critique is not looking at the article and looking at what were the, because all the, in journal articles that are peer reviewed, the authors always include a section of their own limitations. What they saw is their own limitations of their own research and of the article in and of itself. That is not your critique. You don't take and copy it. Rather, your critique is, as is mentioned in those resources that we talked about earlier, your critique is, do you think that this journal article met the needs for what you chose it for? Was it biased or unbiased? Was it something that provided quality and worthy information that can be useful? So again, look at the resources that were provided in the older adult annotated bibliography assignment page, um, to, to make sure you're doing this right. The other thing is the structure of the summary. Summaries are worth 10 points. The summaries are given in narrative, complete sentence format, and they're clearly organized. They need to be in order to receive the 10 points. So they must be organized and must be in narrative format. Both the summary should be about one paragraph, as well as the critique. Must use APA, and the Widener Library has some really good sources on APA that I am going to show you in just a minute. But make sure that you utilize APA 7th edition and utilize APA correctly from the title page to the reference page. Make sure that you cite your sources in both the actual paper and in the reference page correctly. All right, and grammar and punctuation, you can get up to 10 points there. So as I mentioned, the Widener Wolfgram Memorial Library has a lot of resources online. All I did was a search, and all I put was Widener on just my Google, Widener University APA, and this is what came up, okay? So this has some really great resources for APA. Of course, the best thing is to always purchase the textbook, but this provides you with some quick information. So here is a video tutorial on APA, the 7th edition, that was from a webinar that was done couple years ago, about 3 years ago, but it's still on APA, and so therefore it's still accurate. It's got, some different links, an introduction to APA, how to cite in-text citations and legal and legislative works as you come down. I like this little APA style rubric. You can actually also download it as a PDF format. It's a little what I consider a cheat sheet, which it's a great way to look at both just this is a very most basic sort of sources that you would be citing: journal articles, books, websites, social media. There is definitely a lot more. As you see over here, this is Jill Boren. She is the social work librarian at our university. So she works with the social workers, the social work students. So you can email her or click here and schedule an appointment. She does meet by Zoom. Here's some blog on APA, so a little bit different things that are here, some sample papers. So I'm going to come up over here. You can also click here, how to cite, and it gives you, again, just sort of more of the more sort of basic things that most people are citing. However, the book gives you a lot more in-depth sort of information on citing more things that might not be available here. But these are the sort of things that most people are citing. So citing Chat GPT, but be very careful with using any sort of IA sort of things. And then here you can go in-text citations. Very important that you always be very careful when you cite in text, because not citing correctly in text can be seen as plagiarism. Okay, so here's some information that is very useful. Again, all I did was put Widener Library APA, and this is what popped up. All right, so that's all for now. I just wanted to make sure that I included all this in here. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving week, and you all take care. Bye.